Good day, everyone. This is Mohammed here. Again, we are back doing a couple of our practice assessment for the advanced diploma in accounting, the management accounting costing unit, MMAC. This is the only management accounting unit in the advanced diploma qualifications, or the level 3, if you want to put it that way. At the moment, we are, we have the assessment ready. Please remember, make sure before you go into the assessment, this assessment itself is going to be something more of a calculation wise. You have to remember formulas. You also have to remember, how to come to certain conclusions, like making a decision in regards to certain, questions posed to you. And then also remember, there's no written task on here. Everything's going to be like calculation questions. Not much logic involved there, like your financial accounting units. This one, in fact, is going to be a more of a calculator heavy, put it that way, because you'll be using lots of formulas and how to calculate certain scenarios. So let me go into that exam straight away. Yeah, it is for 2.5 hours, this exam. At the moment, it's under an assumed name, or a demo user, because as usual, I'm using the AAT website to do this one. So let me see whether I can toggle the full screen on it, and then I'll be able to start the assessment. Once I can see a little bit more, zoom out. Yeah, here we go. I'm here now. We're already in the first question. If you notice, the exam is for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So please make sure, guys, there's no bonus point for this exams. You just have to use your full time. If you finish early, make sure you use your time wisely to recheck your answers, and then obviously you may find something there. You're going to have some sort of amendments to it, so it makes your life a lot easier later on. But make sure you apportion the time accordingly. Remember, this exam also got 10 questions. Like any other ones you have noticed before, you may have 5 or 6 questions on your previous units. So this one's got 10. So this is going to be a little bit more intense. Right, so let's look at that first question here. Pace Haulage Limited, PHL has chosen a new brake pad, BP371, for servicing its fleets. For its management accounts, PHL has always used the Lifo method. The inventory record for BP371 shows the following receipts into the stores. So we have 3 different receipts. Remember, they use always Lifo method. Now, PHL is considering whether to use Fifo, first in, first out, as an alternative to Lifo for its management accounts. So now we had to calculate the cost of issuing 350 pads of BP371 to the vehicle maintenance repairs department on 18th of December, and the inventory balance after using after the issue using the FIFO. So whichever way you do, what is the first thing you do whenever you get a question like this way is to find out what is the total cost, and of course you'll be able to find out a part of the issue means you'll be able to find the closing inventory regardless of which method you use. So let's total all my total cost and see what is the value of my inventory before the 18th when the goods were issued out of the stores. So 3230, all of them together, it's going to be 7,580. So I have got that written down on the piece of paper here, but now I'm going to use the first method, FIFO. If I'm using FIFO, I need to issue 350 brake pads. So that means I have to use whole of the goods we have purchased on 1st of December. So all 120 is going there, and whole 150 from 7th of December is also going there. So because you need 350, so altogether we have 270 now, and we are left with another further 80 pads, which we have to take from the issues. The receipt we received on 14th of December. So that is going to be further 80 units. But we already know the value of your the receipts all pre-set up there, and you need to multiply 80 by 17 pounds. So you should be able to get how much the inventory we're going to be using from the receipt of 14th of December. So let's see that now. 80 multiplied by 17, that is going to be 1,360 plus the other inventories there, plus that one and that one. That gives me total value of inventory of 5,710. And then once we issued 80 from here, we got 110 left, 110 from the 14th of December receipt of goods. So therefore 110 multiplied by 17, it should give me 1,870. So now if we add these two figures together, plus 5710, am I getting 7,580? Yes. So that way you can confirm your calculation is correct. Now let's move on to the Lifo method. When you go into Lifo method, what is the method now dictates? We have to use the last in, first out. So we're going to start on the reverse order, which is from 14th of December, and then work your way on the reverse date order. So now what we're going to do, we have to use whole 190 from the 14th of December. We also have to use the whole 150 from the 7th of December. So now we up to 340. I need 10 more pads, which are going to be coming out of the 1st of December stock. So that is going to be how much? 10 multiplied by 16 is going to be 160. And then you have already 2430 and 3230. Add them all together. So 160 plus 3230 plus 2430. I'm having 5,820 there. And then of course we have 110 left over from the 1st of December. You're going to multiply that by 16. So 16 multiplied by 110, that's going to be 1,760. They again add them both together, 5,820 and 1,760. Am I getting 7,580? Yes. That means that is the total value of my inventory before the pads were issued to the maintenance and the repair department. Okay, so that one is 14 marks for that one. It took me barely a few minutes there. But what you need to remember is the right method and the right order. Fifo, you work from the earliest downwards, and Lifo means we use the latest and upwards. Okay, so that part is now sorted. Now we have to look at it. Complete the sentence below in regards to Fifo as a method of pricing inventory issues. So here, if you look at that, the Fifo method for costing issues always means the physically issued on a rotating basis, so that first inventory is always the first inventory issued. Okay, so the Fifo method for costing issues always means that inventory is physically issued on a rotating basis. That will be the first inventory in is the first first inventory in is the first inventory issued. What do you think that answer is going to be for that? Do you think it's going to be anything different than this? The answer is going to be, it is not. Okay, because the word they use always mean, always means you don't have to remember physically it won't be that same thing, because we can't expect straight away this is the first item I need to check from this inventory. This is the first item I have received, I have to send. No, you can probably issue some of it first and you can follow with this items, or you can issue if it dictates whichever it's going to be, as long as it's going to fulfill the whole of the issues, I can issue this one out and then you can go back to here. It's not a problem, because the wording itself, when you see a question like that way, always keep an eye out for this part here. When it says always, that means you cannot deviate from there, which is of course is not going to be acceptable. When it comes to a working environment, it is not always feasible to find exactly which one is that first one. Okay, so what we normally do, we will look into that. The inventory you're using, it is has to be not physically has to be the first item. All right, 2 marks for this. Let's see, let's move on to the next question. Question 1.2. A number of transactions took place during December that need to be entered into the costing account or cost accounting record of pace haulage. Okay, so if you look at that here, there are some codes there, and they're going to give you 4 transactions that's going to be taking place. So we have to do the debits and credits. Again, guys, in is a debit, out is a credit. This is how we're going to be looking into on the process part of it. Okay, so now if you look at that here, the return of 20 emission prevention filters costing at £340 each. First, find out how much is the amount. 340 multiplied by 20. Okay, so we're going to have 6,800 here. Okay, so we're going to say 6,800 and 6,800. So that is the first thing. And what we're going to do, it's been returned from maintenance to store. So the store's receiving it. So find the store's 800,000 here and credit for the maintenance 7,500 because they are the people who are receiving it, getting rid of it. So stores is going to be, one second guys, it's just an email just popped out. Yeah, because the stores are receiving it, so that's going to be a debit for them, and 7500 for the maintenance, they are the one who's sending the goods back. So that is the first part. Then payment to supplier for 10 forward facing cameras for installation in vehicle cabs. Remember, this is payment. So this is not something going on the ledger now. This is going to be cleared from your cash book, and your ledger control account will reduce the balance. Okay, so if it's a supplier, they're going to be a credit account. This is going to be debiting it. Bank's going to be credit. So that is the scenario we have to look at it. Okay, so what is your ledger control account? Is 4,500, and the bank. They are the two accounts we need to work out for. So the money going out, so it's going to be 945 multiplied by 10. It's going to be 9,450. Make sure you put the amount in. That is 2 marks for it. Using the calculator, just to multiply two numbers, you get 2 marks there. But the codes are, bank is going to be a credit because the money going out from the bank, and the purchase ledger control account will have a debit entry because this is normally a credit account, but when we settle some of the balance for my suppliers, this is going to reduce it. It has to be on the debit side of the ledger control account. Payment of driver wages for the week amounting to 2,700 hours at £19.50. So 2,700 multiplied by £19.50. That amount is going to be 52,650 there, and it has to be going out which account? It needs to be going out of your bank account, isn't it? So the bank, I'm not even looking up. I know it was bank, was money going out. 52650. 52650, but now we're going to look for anything to do with wages. Here you go, the wages control account will have a debit entry here. So here, wages control account, according to this code number 5,000. So I'm written the 5,000 now. That is now done with. The next one, issue of diesel fuel 2,010 liters at £1.20 per liter. Come on, that's no longer the price now. It's like £1.75. Paid up last week. Yeah, so it's gone up a lot. So you just have to remember how this is cost going to be appropriate in here. Now it's saying here UK services and international services, but now the diesel were issued to UK services and international services. So let's have a look at it here. I can't see that here anywhere, but it is normally it's going to be what? Is that going to be a direct cost or indirect cost? And you also have to remember how this is going to be appropriated in my books. Okay, so the first part of it, it's going to be here. Who normally has the diesel stored? It's going to be the stores. When the store's giving out, it's going to be out of the store credit for the store account and debit for your direct cost. Remember, the fuel we are using is not an indirect cost because the business itself, it is a haulage company. If it's a haulage company, all the diesel we use for those lorries has to be counted as the direct cost there. So the amount is now, let me just check what it is. 2010 multiplied by £1.20, that's going to be 2412, and the code is now 8,000 credit and 6,000 debit, because this is going to be your direct cost and this one is going to be classed as your stores department is credited out of that stores department. Okay, so this is the part you're the management accounting, T accounts you're going to be doing that. You wouldn't do any more than that. Now let's see this question here. This is not to do with premiums. This is going to be overtime rate. So therefore, it's going to be a bit simpler than the premium. So if you look at that here, Pace Haulage Limited employs a team of 6 instructors who assess drivers' driving skills on a regular basis and undertake training sessions for drivers. They were indicated by the onboard computers fitted on their vehicles, tachographs, whatever they call it. The instructors are paid a basic rate of £18 per hour, and now any overtime is paid following rates: 25% for the rate 1, the rate 2 is going to be 50% additional. Okay, PHL sets the target for employees' driving skills assessment and training sessions for each month. A bonus equal to 100% of the basic hourly rate is payable for every assessment or training session in excess of target. So that means £18 is going to be paid anything you do more than their allotted target score. So that means if they do 10 more, they're going to get altogether £180. Okay, so that is word part of it. The target for the December for the driving instructors working as a team consisted of 210 assessments and 50 training sessions. The team completed 218 and 62. So altogether, they have done 20 more. Okay, so 20 training sessions or assessment they have done more. Okay, so if you add that, initial target was 260, but they have done 280, so it's 20 more. Okay, so we keep that in mind. All driving instructors work the same number of hours. All overtime and the bonuses are included as the part of the direct labor cost. So now we have to remember this is going to be a direct labor cost as well. Overtimes, bonuses, all are direct labor costs. In fact, normally this won't be the case, but for this question purpose, they have said that way. So now let's calculate what is my basic pay. Basic pay is £18 an hour multiplied by 750. That's going to be £13,500. And then you have 42 hours of rate 1. We're going to multiply by 18 and multiply by 1.5, which is the 1.25, sorry, 1.25, which is the overtime rate 1. So that's going to give me 945. Okay, and the rate 2 is 30 multiplied by 18 multiplied by 1.5. This is a time and a half. Okay, so this one is going to be coming down to £810, and the total cost before the bonus. So let's find out what is the total cost. So that one plus 945 plus 13,500, it's going to give me 15,255. Okay, so that is the first part we have done now. And what is the bonus payment now? Remember, 100% of the basic hourly rate, which is £18 per assessment, you do more than that. So if they have done 20, 18 multiplied by 20 is going to be 360. That is going to be the bonus payment. And you add that together with 15,255, I have the total value of £15,615. So calculate the average labor rate per hour inclusive bonus for each driving instructors in the month of December to 2 decimal points. Okay, so also remember guys, this one you have to be very careful because you have to put all the necessary facts there. How many instructors are there? There are 6 instructors. Okay, and this is going to be let's see, yeah, this is monthly the calculation as well. So the whole of this wages is per month. Okay, the whole month, how many hours they have done together. Okay, so according to this, we found the total hours they have worked is 822, and you're going to divide this answer 15,615 by 822 hours, and that should give me almost £19, because the answer is coming into 18.996350. So if you want to round 2 decimals, the answer is going to be almost £19 there. All right. So that should be the answer for that. Now then again, let's see the next one. The total pay including bonus for each driving instructor for December was, so let's again 15,615 divided by 6, and you should be able to find out for one instructor how much is that amount we'll be paying. It's going to be £2,602 and 50 pence. And the bonus payable for each member was, the bonus is 360 divided by 6 is going to be £60 bonus. Okay, so that will be the answer for that one. We at the 19 minutes mark, we already went through 3 questions. But again, guys, exam questions are varies. They will pick from different areas because this is a very big unit. And then, of course, there are questions from different places you may come across. So you have to be prepared for this one. Remember, certain formulas you have to memorize. Of course, you have to identify how I'm going to memorize those things. We will get to there whenever a certain question poses itself. Okay, so let's see here. Is anything further down there? No, there's nothing else down. Now let's go further. All right, so Pace Haulage Limited is preparing for its budget for the first quarter of next year. The following costs are relevant: depreciation charge, rent and rates and insurance, supervisors' wages, light, heat and power. Okay, so now this is an appropriation question. Are we going to be appropriating these costs into these profit centers and the support centers? How are we going to be doing it, and what basis we're going to be apportioning them? Okay, so if you notice that here there are some other information they've given you. Overheads allocated of apportioned using the most appropriate basis. 50% of the maintenance time is spent on UK profit center, remaining spent on international service profit center. Store costs are apportioned between 2 profit center on the basis of number of store requisitions. So we have to look at the store requisitions, and then the general administration costs are apportioned equally between the 2 profit centers. So there are 3 ways we're going to be apportioning these different costs here. Okay, so here there will be a subtotal there, and then we will be apportioning that into these areas. But also please read what they have said to you about how you fill these answers. Okay, so here if they're saying here, use the following table, allocate a portion overheads using the most appropriate basis. Each cell in the bottom 5 rows must have an entry in order to gain full marks. So here, if you look at that here, each cell in the bottom 5 rows must have an entry in order to gain marks. Okay, so here look at this, all these boxes you have to have numbers there. All right, but also remember how we're going to be doing a negative sum. Okay, so sometimes when you're going to apportion them, you can either do a negative sign or a brackets. In the start they haven't mentioned anything, we can use a brackets there or negative point. It doesn't matter because they haven't said that specifically this is how we have to do it. Okay, so we will get to that question in a minute. Can we do brackets here? Let's see. Yeah, we can do brackets here. All right, so depreciation, how are we going to be apportioning them? So if you look at that here, it's going to be appropriated by the carrying amount of the haulage vehicle, because that way we understand how the depreciation is going to be apportioned. Rent and rates, how are we going to do? Rent and rates going to be by the floor space. That is the most appropriate option here. And then the supervisor's wages. So if you look at the supervisor's wages, where's the supervisor's wages are? Can I say labor hour? Can I say yeah, because it depends on how the labor hour has been apportioned between those 2. So we know how much the total cost. So that means we'll be able to apportion the supervisor's wages according to how many the labor hour cost is there. Okay, so we will use that option here. The next one, indirect labor. If you look at that here, indirect labor cost, it's been basically allocated to these three departments. Okay, if you notice that here, they're not direct labor, they're indirect labor. They have already been set to what is the amount for. So we will say it's going to be allocated. And then obviously heat, light, and power is going to be something for floor space, because if rent and rates is floor space, heat and light also going to be similar to that assumption. So let's have a look at that now. We have the first one we need to do is going to be the depreciation charge. So what is the total depreciation charge? We have 168,000. So let's see 168,000. Now how I'm going to split this? Now I'm going to find the total carrying amount. Yeah. So we will be dividing this what do you call the cost by the total of the carrying amount, and then multiply by the separate department to find out what's the apportionment for it. Or I can simplify this. If you look at it here, if I add them both together, it's going to be 3 million. Okay, so divide by 3, multiply by 125. That way it's a lot easier. Instead of, you can just ignore all the zeros. So 168,000 divide by 3, multiply by 1.25. That should give me 70,000 for the UK services. And whatever left over is going to be 98,000 is going to be going for my international services. We'll prove it. So again, 168,000 divide by 3, multiply by 1.75 is going to give me 98,000 there. So that matches my total cost. Now let's see the rent and rates. Rent and rates is going to be 68,000. Let's see what is my total floor space. If you add all my floor space, that is going to be 200,000 here, 300,000, 300,000 and 40, 340. Okay, so 340 means divide by 340 and then multiply by whatever number there, you should be getting it. Okay, so 8,000. 340 divide by that, multiply by 80, that is going to be 16,000. Follow the same method again. I'm getting 24,000 for the international service. Or if you look at that here, this is time and a half of that, isn't it? So if whatever amount we allocated here, 80,000 means 120,000 is 1.5 times more. So if you have 16,000 here, 1.5 times more, which is going to be 24,000. Will match your answers. Then again, we have the similar way we're going to calculate. We're going to divide by 340, multiply by 56. I'll have 11200. And then again, we're going to do the similar calculation. 8,800 here. And the last but the least, if it's 40,000, remember, if it's 80,000, it's going to be 16,000 pounds. So 40,000 is going to be half of that. It's going to be 8,000. So add all of them together, guys, just to prove everything's fine. Have a look at that. It's 40,000. And if you add these two, that's going to be another 20,000. So 60,000 and 60,000 plus 8,000, 68,000 pounds. So if you look at that amount, this is the amount is showing up here. Now, again, supervisors direct labor cost. So what we're going to do, we're going to add that total labor cost. So we're going to divide the supervisor's wages, 65,000, divide by 52, multiply by 24. I'm getting 30,000 here. Again, same way we do for the other one, and that should give me 35,000. Together, that should give me 65,000 there. And then indirect labor is going to be allocated. So we go here, 53500, 27600, and 43400. Okay, interesting tidbits about this exam. Normally, this question, it is all about attention to detail, and then it requires lots of what do you call it? Checking and rechecking, because the reason why, because you have to fill out so many boxes. If you miss somewhere there, your final answer will not match. Okay, so you have to be very careful, and it's 18 marks, and I'll guarantee you this is the question is going to take the longest, not because it's hard. It's nothing to do with the hardness of this question. This is basically requires more boxes to be filled in, therefore it takes longer. So normally I would leave this question for last if I were the student, but normally if you're happy doing it and you have 2.5 hours in your clock when you started the exam, you can do it straight away and get that out of the way. So whichever way you're doing it, I totally recommend to make sure you allocate enough time for this question, because this is the one is going to take a bit longer. So add all of those costs, it's going to be adding up to 124,500. Okay, there is no costs down here, so that can be left as empty. Then let's go further down. Let's see what we have here. Heat and light and power. So we go back to that floor spacing again. So we remember the floor space was 340,000. So we're going to do the same thing for that cost as well. It's going to be 17,000 pounds we're going to be appropriating. So 17,000 divide by 34 multiply by 8,000. So that's going to be 4,000 here. Time and a half of that is going to be 6,000 because it's 12,000 floor space. Again, you see, I'm going back 120,000. It's time and a half from that one. So I already filled that out. Okay, so divide by that, multiply by 5.6. That's going to be 2,800 here for this one. And the next one is going to be divide by that, multiply by that, 2,200. And the last but the least is half of that is going to be 2,000. Again, add all of them again, 10,000, 15,000 and 17,000. Same amount we got here. So let's add all those costs up and find our subtotals here. Okay, so your subtotal is going to be all of them throughout here. If you add them all, you should get that same value totaling from here as well. Okay, so let's find out how much is it. 70,000 plus 16,000 plus 30,000 plus 4,000. That's going to be 120,000 here. So this one is 98,000 plus 24,000 plus 35,000 plus 6,000. So it's going to be 163,000. Add all of the next one, 11200 plus 2800 plus 5350. So it's 67500. Next one is 11,000 plus 27600. 38,600 there. And the next one is going to be 53,400. Add all of them together. So I'm getting 442,500 there. Add all of those and compare these entries we have here to check whether our calculations are right. So let's not be shy about this calculator. Let's use that to our extent. Trying to find the missing numbers. So again, the calculator agrees with my calculation from this what do you call the lateral calculation, because the vertical part of it, the horizontal and the vertical totals both matches to 442,500. It's just short of a half mil. So now how I'm going to reapportion the maintenance. Okay, so reapportion the maintenance. Maintenance is going to be apportioned for this. So we're going to say minus 67500 here, minus 38600 here. This is going to be minus 400 here. So now how I'm going to be reapportioning them. 55% of that is going to be going to the UK services, and the rest of them is going to be the international services. So here 7500 multiplied by 55% is going to be 37125, and this one is 30375. Okay, which is the rest of it, which is 45%. The reappropriation of stores. So let's see how many requisitions. The total requisitions are 2,000. So you're going to divide by 2,000 and multiply by that individual amount. So you find the the right requisition amount for this. Okay, so here 38,600 divide by 2000 multiplied by 960, it's going to give me 18,528 divided by 960 multiplied by 1040 is going to be 20,072 pounds. So that's been reapportioned as well. The general administration, on the hand, is going to be split among equally between those two profit center. Divide by 2, 26,700. 26,700. Now let's add all of these now together and see whether we have the right amount. 120,000, 37125 plus 18528 plus 26700. It's going to be 202353, and then the next one is going to be 163000 plus 30375 plus 20072 plus 26700. This is going to be 240147. And now let's add these both numbers together. Plus 202353. I'm having 442,500. Let's check this number here. These both are matching. So that means my appropriation at the moment is clear. That means you can move on to the next question. But here again, guys, attention to detail is important. Read the process of how we're going to apportion them, what method we're going to be using, and then obviously we will do the reapportionment part, how we're going to be reapportioning the indirect or the support cost centers into the profit center, how I'm going to be moving those. Okay, so this is very important. We get to this point, then we move on by individually reapportioning this amount to the next section. Okay, so now let's move on to question 1.5. Right, so we have typical type of questions again. Pace Haulage Limited wants to review budget against performance for the last quarter. The budgeted and the actual data is presented in table below. So you have the UK services and the vehicle maintenance and repairs. So we have to find out how we're going to be looking at what do you call the OAR and the absorptions. Okay, how are we going to be absorbing the costs? So the first part, again, you see, I have my piece of paper. Most of the time in your exam, most of your delicate calculations, write it down so you won't forget about that. And also remember, when it comes to OAR, we keep the OAR rate as whatever you find the calculator. But when we go and write the answers, sometimes they give you 2 or 4 decimal points. But let's find out what they want. Okay. So the first one, they want to know what is the budgeted overhead rate is going to be for UK services. So you have the budgeted overhead divided by the budgeted activity, which is that. Not the actual mile, not the actual maintenance hours, because what we do, we absorb the overheads by the budgeted figures. So let's see that here, 320,000, 150 there, divide by 8425, and that is going to give me 38 pounds absorption rate for UK services. Maintenance for the vehicle and repair, 160,000, 160. Divide by 4,004 budgeted maintenance hours, that gives me 40 pounds per maintenance hours. I'm going to be absorbing the cost. Okay, it made our life a lot easier. They don't want you in decimals, so we just leave it as the whole numbers because the answers were whole numbers. Identify the most appropriate budget and overhead absorption basis for the UK services and profit center. Budgeted miles or budgeted hours. So how I'm going to be using? Which one you think it's going to be for? What is that again? The UK services. What do you think may be the answer for that one? You think is it by the hours or by miles? Because they are a haulage limit, aren't they? So it's easier. They can calculate the cost by the total miles they do, because the miles is going to be higher than the hours, because the hours is going to be always lower. So the most intensive of those is going to be the budgeted miles, not the labor hours or the machine maintenance hour, whichever we call. Hold on, this is for the the UK Services Profit Center. Yeah, of course, the driving hours is going to be definitely lower than that. So we just have to use the miles. Identify the most appropriate budgeted overheads for maintenance and the repairs. Of course, that's going to be for hours, because this is not going to be generating too many miles when you're looking at the repairs and maintenance, because it depends on how many hours the engineer is working in the workshop there. Okay, so that will be the most appropriate answer. So let's go further down. The data for last quarter in the table above shows the actual mile traveled and maintenance hours worked, as well as budgeted data. Okay, if the value of the actual overhead incurred last quarter exceeded the overhead absorbed for the quarter, okay, so the actual overheads is going to be higher than my overhead absorbed for the quarter. That means, is that an over or under absorption? So the question you may always ask. So if I say I absorbed £1,000 worth of cost and my overhead is higher than that £1,000 absorbed cost, means we have under absorbed, because we absorb lower than our actual cost. If it's an under absorption, means it is going to be a loss on my profit and loss statement, because I have to count that as a loss now. All right, so this has to be accounted for as such. But for the purpose of management accounting, we always say an absorption, it's going to be higher or lower, under or over, depends on what was absorbed and what was the actual cost. If your actual cost is lower, we absorb too much in our profit and loss statement. That means we can make a profit there, because when the cost is calculated and actually put in there, that is going to give us a difference. That difference is going to be a profit for me. Okay, so here, according to this, the actual the cost is exceeding, therefore actual overheads are exceeding, therefore it is going to be an under absorption of the last quarter. Okay, so you have to remember, this is how we have to identify which one is being looking for you. All right, now next one. Complete the following sentence. An over absorption of overheads will be debited or credited to my profit and loss account. What do you think it is? As I said to you, if it's going to be an over absorption, we have to credit our account, because our actual expense is going to be lower, isn't it? Because if you look at that debit, on my side of it, I have absorbed £1,000. My actual cost is only £890. I need to credit my profit and loss statement, as the £110 is going to be the over absorption, because if it's the over absorption, this will happen to decrease your expense and increase your profit. If you over absorbed the overhead, if you under absorbed, this is going to work the opposite side. What is that going to do? It has to be added, means debited to my profit and loss account. That is going to increase the expense and then reduce my profit. Okay, and overhead, if it's over absorbed, it's going to be better for me on my profit. And so that's, sometimes you put extra absorption there, but it is not on a regular basis. Normally, it doesn't work like that way, because you won't gain or lose anything personal in your pocket. But this is what we recorded in our system. Now we're going to be absorbed extra loss on one period, means the next period we will gain that back. Okay, so this is not much to think about it, as what we call, again, they use there's what they call, the word is creative accounting. This is nothing to do with the creative accounting. It is basically how the process work in management accounting. Let's move on to the next question. We're already halfway through, 1 hour 45 minutes left, so plenty of time to gather around to rest of it. Okay, Pace Haulage Limited, PHL, is planning 3 new haulage routes contracts for the quarter: RTU 13, RTU 14, RTU 15. It has gathered the following data, put together forecast for the route. So they're giving you all those information. Here now, what we need to do, we have to fill out all of this information with this given data. This is just a crunch of numbers. Okay, so we have to be careful how we're going to be interpreting this information and how I'm going to be putting that information down here. So route RTU 13 is 4,000 miles. So we say 4,000 miles here straight away. RTU 14 is going to be 25% more miles than that. Okay. Don't worry about the cost. We'll get to the cost in a minute. All right. So at the moment, it is going to be more miles. So 4,000 multiplied by 1.25 is going to give me 5,000. And then they're saying here RTU 15 is 20% more than RTU 13. So 4,000 multiplied by 1.2 is going to be 4,800 there. Okay, so they are the initial numbers. But now we need to know what are the costs, or means what is the charge out rate for each one of that. So 13 charges out 200, but 14 charge out 25% less. So 25% less from that is going to be 150 pounds. And 15 does, they will charge 40% less. Okay, so it's 40% less means 80 pounds less. So it's going to be 120. So it's 200, 150, and 120. Okay, these are the routes. Okay, so it's 25% less for the first one and 40% less for the next one. So we have 200, 150, and 120. Now let's find out what is my total revenue. So the revenue is going to be multiplied by 4,000 multiplied by 200. That's going to be giving me 8 million. No, hold on, 800,000. Okay, so please make sure you check there's 5 zeros are there. The next one, the route is RTU 14, 5,000 miles multiplied by 150. That's going to be giving me 750,000. The last one is 4,800 miles multiplied by 120. That's going to give me just north of the 500,000 there. So it's going to be 576,000 there. Now, what is my variable cost? Again, look at that. Variable cost are 70 pounds per mile for route 13. The variable costs are 20% more per mile for route 14 than 13. Variable cost for route 15 are 5 pounds more, £5 per mile more than the route 13. So now let's again calculate it. 75 pounds for 13, the variable cost. For route 14, it's going to be 20% more. So 75 multiplied by 1.2 is going to be 90 pounds. And then route 15 is going to be £5 more than 13. So it's going to be 80 pounds. Let's find my variable cost. 4,000 multiplied by 75. My variable cost there is going to be 300,000. This is going to be 5,000 multiplied by 90 is going to be 45000. It's a bit more there. 80 pounds multiplied by 4,800 miles. That's going to be 384,000. Okay, so we have all of that. Now let's find what is the contribution. Contribution here is revenue minus the variable cost. It's going to be 500,000 there. And then you also have RTU 14, the revenue minus variable cost is going to be 300,000. And this one, on the other hand, 576 minus 384, that gives me 192,000 pounds. Okay, so we have all of those three information got there. The fixed cost now at the moment is going to be how much? Fixed cost is going to be split among these three roads. So 500,000 is being split 40% to 13, 35% to 14, and 25% to RTU 15. Okay, so we need to find out how I'm going to do it. 50,000 multiplied by 40%. It's going to be giving me 200,000 here. 50,000 multiplied by 0.35 is going to be 175,000. And this one's going to be whatever left over there, that's going to be 125,000. Is that right? Sounds right. Should be right. Yeah, if you add both this two and that one, it's going to be 500,000 there. So now what is the profit? Profit here is going to be 300,000. Profit here is 125,000. Getting bits nines down there. All right, so this one is going to be 67,000. So if you add all of those together, And then again, guys, what I have noticed now, there is a part it says here you have to do in 3 zeros. So that means I don't have to do the last 3 zeros on any of them, because keep an eye on it. Again, as I mentioned to you, read the questions carefully. I just noticed it. These zeros can be deleted off. So on your questions, if you see here, they want it in their thousands, remove the thousands. You don't need the thousands. Okay. Last 3 zeros were a waste for me. I don't need to have done that, but I've done that. But now I just went there and delete them straight away. Took me a minute. It's fine. Even if you've done it, just keep an eye for it. But make sure if your answers are not in this format, you will not get any marks. It needs to be the way they ask you. So even you calculate everything to the number, but you haven't done on the format they requested, you will get 0 marks here. So be careful. Read the question carefully. Don't make the mistakes. Sometimes I do as well. PHL monitors the review monitors and reviews performance on all its contracts. Actual performance is compared against the forecast. The responsible manager will have sent reports to review and act upon. So now they're asking you here, complete the sentence. So look at this one now. So the contract manager will be sent overall performance to monitor the revenue for routes 13, 14, and 15. So she will be, or he or she will be a relevant profit center manager. Why? Because there is a profit involved in there. It's not just cost, it's not just revenue, it's both of them combined. You will get a profit center. Okay. And maintenance department manager will be sent reports on maintenance for the contract. They will be a relevant cost manager, because maintenance department don't receive any revenue themselves because they are a cost center, and the reports on returns on capital employed on each contract are sent to the investment center manager. So see, these 3 managers are having different kind of categories, because where their cost center is going to be falling under. So now let's go further down here. Now we have part C. There are ethical practices. Again, guys, sometimes you may come with the dilemma, oh, it can be both. But again, think about it. This is going to be a 50-50 question. 1 mark for each. Okay, so even if you stuck on somewhere, don't waste your time too long thinking about it. Just move on, because you have a potential chance. You have more questions, you can make more marks. When it comes to this, you just start to use your gut instinct, your common sense. And of course, you know straight away when you look at it, oh, there are certain words will eliminate the answer. One of them is gone, the other one will be the right answer. Process of elimination also you can do. You're asked to change the revenue figures by a colleague to increase the profit without any data for this managerial or data for this or managerial authorization. Do you do this? No, you shouldn't do that, because it's going to be affecting your objectivity here, isn't it? Because your objectivity is the undue influence on your decisions. A friend of yours working in a rival company has asked a copy of the above forecast so that company can put in a bid. Do you do this? So that is also what we call, again, is confidentiality. So no, the answer for that one. You discover a mistake you made in that has a significant effect on profit. Do you report this to your manager? Yes, you have to be honest and straightforward when you come across something like that. Way, this is your integrity, and of course this is going to be your answer for it. Yes. When drawing up forecast, you see that one of your routes makes less profit than the other route. You do not understand why this is. Do you ask your manager to explain? Of course you can ask your manager to explain, because that's what, it's like part of your training, of course, and this is how you're going to learn. And then that's nothing, suggesting otherwise. If the manager says it doesn't want to explain to you, of course, maybe there are some underlying reasons for it, but on a normal practice, your manager will explain these answers to you. Okay. Let's move on to question number 7. Pace Haulage Limited is reviewing 2 small haulage route contracts, RTU 4, RTU 5 for next month. The contracts will require skilled drivers, and following the forecast has been prepared. So now they have given you all this information. This is going to be a limiting factor question. Why? Because there is a shortage of skill driver for the next month. Remember a few months ago, of course, the haulage firms were offering absorption amount of money to skilled workers because there were a shortage of delivery drivers. And then, of course, this is a question. It was predicting that future. This was released 4 or 5 years ago by the AAT, and then of course they could see this coming. There you go. Food for thought here, guys. Do not underestimate a good accountant because you can actually predict what's going to happen. So this means only 52 skilled driver hours are expected to be available for these two contracts. At the moment, we require to do 80 hours. So 80 hours are there to be filled, but we only have 52 hours. So therefore, one of these route, it's going to be depreciated, or no, means like reduced or stopped completely. Okay, it depends on which one is going to be giving you more contribution per the limiting factor. So let's see that here, contribution per mile. So here, this is the contribution 5,600 and total mile travel is 800. So if you're going to divide that by that, so it's going to be 56 divided by 8. It's going to be £7 per mile I'm getting a contribution for. For the next one, I'm getting £12 per mile I'm getting a contribution for. But it's not what it required. The one required is the hour. Okay, so let's see here. Contribution per driver hour. So therefore, if you look at the driver hour contribution, so for 56 hours, I'm making, assuming a contribution of 5,600. So for 1 hour, it's going to be £100. Next one, on the other hand, if you're going to divide 4,800 by the total number of hours, 24 hours. 24 hours required, it's going to be 200. So therefore, this one will rank first and this one will rank second. The reason, it gives you more contribution per driver hour, and this one gets half of it basically. So therefore, we're going to appropriate the total hours with our availability. 52 hours we have available. I'm going to allocate all 24 which requires for RTU 5, and whatever left after that is going to be 28 hours which will be going to RTU 4. So this one will be using the maximum and this one will be using whatever left over. So they are asking you what is the total number of miles operated. So we are not losing any miles here. So we have all that 400 miles we operating now. But this one also, if you look at that here, the total number of hours is 58. So 28, it's half of that required driving hours. The total miles in that can be operated is going to be 400 as well. It's not 800 now because they're going to be only working half of that mileage. So the total contribution is going to be earned now. 12 multiplied by 8 is going to be no change on that one. 4,800. The next one is going to be half of that. Is going to be 2,800. Multiply this by that, you get 2,800. The total of the contribution is 7,600 there at these two, less the fixed cost. How much is the fixed cost? 7,200. And then now my forecast profit is going to be only 400 according to what we have come across now. Okay, so initially my profit was 3,200. Now we lost some of our contribution because of the limiting the driving hours. Therefore, the fixed cost is now eating into my contribution. That means, therefore, my profit is now decreased to only 400. So RTU 5 should or should not be selected as the first contract to operate the next month. Why? Yes, we are selecting it because it has the highest contribution per driver hour, because we are using the driver hour contribution as a deciding factor. Why? Because it's not the miles as a limiting factor, it's the driving hours, because we don't have enough driving hours. So we have to use that as what is the best route gives you more contribution per driver hour. If I choose that other way around, my answer is going to be skewed, because end of the day, I'm going to be still absorbing that what do you call, fixed cost, but my answer is going to be, giving me a loss now. The reason, because we haven't chosen the right option if you done it other way around. 1.8 now. Let's move on to the short-term decision questions. So here, oh, hold on. This is a classification of cost. I like this question, but somehow students do get this question incorrect most of the time because they overthink it. So when you get these questions, it's always good to identify by putting the figures down manually. Write it down on a piece of paper you get. Yeah. What you need to do is find the total cost at that point. All right. For close classification 1, at 2000 miles, per unit cost is going to be 30 pounds. So if you multiply those two, it's going to be 60,000 pounds. On the second scenario, multiply these two, 60,000 pounds. Third scenario, multiply that with 60,000 pounds. The fourth scenario, multiply that, 60,000 pounds. See, there are 4 level of productions. The 4 level of productions, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 8,000. My total cost has not changed. So what we call that cost. If I look at it, I remember a cost doesn't change with the level of production. It's going to be your fixed cost. So what is the cost is going to be at 6,000 miles? Obviously, it's going to be again 60,000 because it's not going to have no change whatsoever. Now let's look at the second cost classification. So here, 9 pounds throughout per unit cost hasn't changed. So what is the classic example of that? The variable cost, on the other hand, it doesn't change. It doesn't change at all. Any level of production, each unit will be still costing you the same amount, but the total cost will be keep on increasing. So this is going to be a variable cost. So what will be per unit cost at 6,000 miles? It is still 9 pounds per unit. Multiply 9 by 6,000, you will get that cost. 6 multiplied by 9,000. Oh, sorry, 6,000 multiplied by 9 is going to be 54,000. Now let's look at these next two. This is where you're going to have a little bit of a confusion how I'm going to do this. So let's find out the total costs again. Multiply by that is going to be 2,000 multiplied by 12. It gives me 24,000. The next level is going to be 32,000. No, 24,000. Sorry, 24,000. Multiply these two. Now these two gives me 30,000. And then the next level after that, 8,000 multiplied by 3.75 is going to give me also 30,000. So now you notice there is a level there where the cost hasn't changed from 2,000 to 3,000, but when you add 5,000, it has stepped up to 30,000, but at 8,000, it's remained same. So this is a classic example of your step cost. We don't know where that cost has changed. It's somewhere between 3 and 5. The step cost has come into play. But our next scenario is what is the cost at 6,000. So the total cost at 5,000 and 8,000 has not changed. Therefore, the step fixed cost for 6,000 units is going to be 30,000 there. So it's going to be called stepped fixed cost. The last one, on the other hand, now this is the territory we're going to be working your high-low method. So you just have to keep an eye on this particular calculation. So 2,000 multiplied by 16 pounds, it is going to give me 32,000. Next scenario, 3,000 multiplied by 14 is going to be 42,000. 5,000 multiplied by 12 pound 40, it's going to be 62,000. 8,000 multiplied by 11 pound 50, it's going to be 92,000. So if you notice, it is neither a fixed cost, neither a variable cost. Why? Because the cost is going down, but your total cost also increasing. So therefore, there is a fixed element there and also a variable element. This is going to be my semi-variable cost. But then again, now we're going to use a high-low method to find out what is my variable cost per unit and then my fixed cost. Okay, so let's do a high-low method. You can use at any level, any two levels. So I'm going to use the the easiest one is going to be between 3 and 2. We can use that cost at. So the variable cost is going to be 42,000 minus 32,000 divide by 1,000. Okay, so therefore 10,000 divided by 1,000 is going to be £10 per unit variable cost. So let's go back to my original classification. 10 multiplied by 2,000 miles is going to be £20,000, and take that away from the 32,000, and I will have a fixed cost of £12,000. So the variable cost unit is £10 per unit, and the fixed cost is 12,000. Now you can apply this at any level of production. Let's try that at 3,000. 3,000 total variable cost is 3,000 multiplied by 10 is going to be how much? 30,000, and then the fixed cost is 12,000. Add those two together, it's coming to 42,000. So remember that already we calculated this, multiply that, is coming to 42,000 as well. So it proves our calculation was correct. But now let's apply that to 6,000 unit. So 6,000 unit multiplied by 10, which is going to be giving me total variable cost of £60,000 plus the fixed cost of 1,000, so £12,000. So the total cost at 6,000 unit is going to be 72,000. If I were you, I can actually work this out on a general knowledge as well. Like if you look at that here, from 2,000 to 3,000, it only changed by £10,000. From 3,000 to 5,000, it changed by £20,000. From 5,000 to 8,000, it changed by £30,000. So you notice that here there is what do you call again, like a series. It just increases by 10,000 every 1,000. So therefore, when you're in 5,000, just add another 10,000 to that cost to it. So 62,000 plus 10,000 is going to be 72,000. You can also predict some of these answers that way. It's just numbers. Now let's move on to question 1.9. We still got 1.5 hours to go. So let's see, 1 hour 25 minutes. Pace Haulage Limited is reviewing actual performance against budget for December for its international services profit center. PHL budgeted to operate 8,000 haulage miles. However, the actual haulage miles traveled was 4,000 less than budgeted. So it is 5% less. So it's 95% of my budget. So we had to flex the budget to 95%, but only our revenue and no variable cost. It's not going to be our fixed cost. Okay, so not to worry about that bit. So let's have a quick look at that now. So here they want you to flex that budget now. So let's see. If you get a fixed budget, guys, you don't do nothing here. You put the same amount for every one of that. If it's a fixed budget, whatever amount on your original budget, it will come back here anyway. Okay, so that is the only difference between flex and fixed budget. Sometimes students do get the fixed budget. It's very rare, but if you get it, please think that is somebody letting you off scot-free. You just have to copy that figure and put on the other side and just change the variance, and that's it. You calculate the variance accordingly. Okay, so now let's see the sales revenue. 1.2 million multiplied by 95% is going to be 114,000. It's 1,140,000. Okay, next one, driver's wages, 250,000 multiplied by 95%. It's going to be 237,500 there. Next one, vehicle maintenance and other cost. Now what we have to remember, is that going to be a fixed or a variable cost? If you look at that here, the vehicle maintenance and the other cost normally will be a, what do you think it is going to be? Do you think it's going to be a fixed cost? Because it may, let's see. Oh, here you go. They already said that. I'm looking at the wrong one. All operating costs are variable except the fixed overhead. So therefore, this is definitely a variable cost. Normally, you have to think about it, how this is going to be affecting. So if you're in your workplace, most of the time, this is going to be come down as a fixed cost, because Whether you run or not, your maintenance is going to be still done. You still have to service the vehicles, okay? And sometimes it's done miles wise and sometimes it's done periodically. So therefore, we cannot assume this is going to be a variable cost. But here they have said that it's going to be a variable cost, so that we can flex it. So 180,000 multiplied by 95%, it's going to be 171,000. And then the fixed overheads don't change at all. So therefore, now we will have a new variance calculator. So here, 1140 minus 1115, and it's going to be 25,000. Here you go. Adverse variances must be denoted with minus signs or brackets. Okay. So this is it going to be adverse or favorable? If you look at that here, according to the budget, we need to be getting 140,000. But here it is less than that. Therefore, this is going to be a negative variance or a adverse variance. We call it that way. So let's do them in brackets. It looks more clear that way. And then again, the driver's wages. This is going to be lower than my flex budget. Therefore, this is going to be a favorable variance, a positive variance. So let's see, 1375 minus 2361 is going to be 1,400. And then next one. This is also actual cost is going to be lower than my budget. Therefore, this is going to be a favorable variance. So 1710 minus 1692 is going to be 1,800. The last but the least, it's going to be 150, but this is more. Therefore, it's going to be a adverse variance. So let's find out what is my profit from the operations. 114000 0 minus 237,500 minus 171,000 minus 21,000. So according to this, my profit is supposed to be 521,500. Okay, and my the variance now supposed to be negative 21950. So let's prove it. If you add these two and take away those two, you will get minus 21950. So let's see that here. 25,150 minus 1,400 minus 1,800. That should give me 21,950 there. So that will be my variance afterwards. Okay, I'm still achieving a profit, but it is less than I initially budgeted for. What is the major factor of it? Identify below the variance was the main reason for the difference between the actual profit on operation and the flex budget budgeted profit from operation. What is that? Because my revenue has the major impact. My costs have done me a favor, but when it comes to the revenue, I have lost a bit of a revenue there. So I'm going to say this is going to be my sales revenue variance. So now let's go to the last question. Almost there by the finishing line, guys. Don't rush like I am doing, because I'm trying to keep the videos short and sweet. Not going to be dragging you for 2.5 hours, but of course you can actually get the best out of these kind of long exams. And then obviously this is going to be a really good chance for you to score really good marks and boost your overall score for the advanced diploma in accounting course. So let's have a look at this. PCL Haulage Limited is considering two possible investment. The first investment is more risky than the second, and the most important criterion here is to project that limits PHL's risk. For the second investment, PHL is more interested in return offered by the project chosen. So the first one, it is reducing the risk. Next one, it's going to be more like a return, what I'm going to be getting that return back. So there are 4 options for you. Okay, so then here, choose the sentences below, selecting the most appropriate choice for the drop down box to advise PHL of projects that should chosen for the 2 investment. So what is the thing? It is the risk is what? It is the longer payback period is going to be more riskier. Yeah. So therefore, for the first investment, PHL should invest in project 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one has got the lowest payback? Which is going to be project 1. And this is going to be the quickest payback period, because that way I'm not have to wait until bit longer. I have to wait 1 more year, means more riskier. More time you take to get the money back means more chance you won't get the return for that one. The next one, on the other hand, you're looking at these project 3 and 4. What you should invest, because you don't care about the time, but you care about what is the return is offering. So here in this scenario, the project 4 is the best one because it has the highest net percentage value. So the net percent value is going to be for £46,000. So it gives you more return for your investment. Okay, 12 marks for that. You see that? Now let's go to the next one. Review your 4 statements in the box below and identify whether they are true or not by selecting the correct options. Internal rate of return is always the same as the company's cost of capital. Now you compare that against your company's cost of capital. If your internal rate of return is higher than your cost of capital, you will normally accept those kind of proposals. But if it's going to be equal or lower, you will choose not to do, because your cost of capital is not going to be subsidized by a lower IRR. IRR needs to be higher. Therefore, it's not always same. So it's going to be false. Again, look at the word says always. When it says always, you can always ignore that answer as an incorrect answer. The NPV method discounts future cash flow to the present day value is true, because according to NPV, normally what we do a discounted cash flow for the period of I'm going to be using that the investment. If the internal rate of return is greater than the cost of capital for a project, then it should be undertaken. Yes, this is the same thing I told you about earlier. If your IRR is greater than the cost of capital, means your cost of capital is 15%, IRR is 18%, I will normally take it. Yeah, because I have the potential to make more money from that investment, because I am covering my cost of capital. Anything more than that is going to be a return for me. So that is true. Payback period uses the profits from the project to determine the payback period. Now, it doesn't look at the profits. Okay, it looks at your net cash flow. Profit, it's nothing to do with your cash flow. Profit, it's not equal to cash. Remember that. So when you get that sort of a question, you can simply say that is not the right answer there. Okay, so let me just confirm that the last bit quickly here. 1 and 4, yeah. So that makes more sense to me now, guys. 1 hour 15 minutes, the 2.5 hour exam is almost done. Okay, so I'll go back and check whichever it is there. I'm pretty sure I got most of the answers correct. If there's anything incorrect, please leave a comment on the video, so I'll be able to go back in there and see whether I can update it, or leave it as it is and pay my adieu to you and say thank you. And then of course, this is just a mock exam. Your real exam is going to be chosen from different areas. You don't know. You may get the EOQ questions, economic order quantity questions. Haven't seen anything here. There is no margin of safety. There is no break-even point questions here. So these kind of questions can be sometimes appear in your exam. Sometimes you may not appear. You may have come across a process costing, normal loss, abnormal gain, abnormal loss with scrap value. These are the things not seen in this exam. You may see that. All right, so there are certain part of it you may come across, and some of them you may not get it. Even with the overhead absorption rate, you have seen over absorption and under absorption, but you haven't had a question to calculate what was the absorbed amount against the budgeted cost. Okay, so those kind of questions you may get it, sometimes you may not got. But again, guys, this is like a box of chocolate. There are so many fields they can choose that from, because remember, look, this is the book we use in the classroom, the biggest it can find. And then obviously every one of those chapters, because there are 9 chapters here in this book, but certain publication has more such chapters than this. The contents are kind of vast, so therefore you may get questions from different area. So again, I wish you guys all the best with your exams. Hopefully, I will probably, not hopefully, I should be able to upload the next video, which is the practice assessment one, probably in few days time. And fingers crossed, I see you guys again on that. Let me submit this first, see what it is telling me. It says, yes, you have completed this assessment. Congratulations, you have been assessed as competent. I had no doubts about that. You will be getting that same thing in your exams as well, guys. So I wish you guys all the best. And let me see, get it out of here. And then let me just bring that screen up. Okay. And then, yeah, and whoever's sitting for this exam, soon, I wish you guys best of luck. And if you got any questions, please leave a comment the bottom, and we'll be able to come back to you with any sort of further information. All right, and again, guys, have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.